We're talking to Jordan and Shanna. So you all have a very special mission here. You've been through a very important time.
Yes, I'm a nurse educator for the NICU at Covenant.
Let's just talk a little bit about Covenant NICU, what y'all do, and what you're about.
Our NICU, we take care of babies that are born premature or term that are sick and need special care to grow and develop and be ready to go home with their families.
And Shanna, you had a premature baby there.
Yes, my son Liam was born 10 weeks early, and we spent 64 days in the NICU before we were ready to come home.
Now, y'all have a lot of time that is spent there pretty much night and day with the baby, right?
Absolutely. I took off from work, and I was there pretty much all day around the clock. I would go home for lunch or to take a nap, but I went there in the mornings and was there for his morning feeding, and I was there until his later feeding in the evening before I would go home and make dinner for my husband and I. But it's a lot of time spent in a big box, and it's very sterile and sometimes feels cold or just not like you would expect when you think about bringing your baby into the world, and you think about going home and being in your warm, comfortable surroundings, and that's not exactly something that you picture.
Mm-hmm. But at the hospital, that's kind of how it needs to be. So what we're talking about, because it's an intensive care unit, so there are certain things that you're allowed to have and certain things that have to remain sterile, but there are certain things that folks can donate to help out and help to make surroundings there a little bit more comfortable. And, I know that you wrote a wonderful letter to us that we saw about the incredible care that you received. And there's absolutely no faulting all of that. It's just, some of the other special things that aren't standard issue that need to be, you guys need a little help with. Like, what types of things are we talking about?
We are looking for the Dr. Brown's slow flow premature nipples and bottles, and also the Medela steam bags, as well as the draft laundry detergent. Those things would really, really be helpful. Those are things that we send the bottles and the bags home with the families, and so that's something that is not provided usually by the hospital, so those are very appreciated to be donated. And the draft detergent helps clean the sheets. We provide pretty linens for our patients and their families to provide a more warm environment so that it can be more home-like. And so we wash our own linens there at the hospital.
Okay. All right. When folks can help, well, how can they help? What should they do? What's the next step here?
If you'd like to donate, you can either bring your physical or monetary donations by the third floor Covenant NICU, or you can also drop them off at Bundt Cakes, which is located off of 98th and Slide.
Absolutely. They're familiar with Bundt Cakes. They help us out a lot. We bring buntinis to our listeners that are listening at work, so brighten up their day at their office when they let us know they get submitted. And I just was out earlier and brought some buntinis from Bundt Cakes out to a couple of local businesses that were listening to Lonestar. So it's very good. And I know, we didn't have much time to talk, and you have such a incredible story, of your premature baby. Is there a particular piece of that story that you would like to share that you feel is...
I just think that it's important for people to know that the doctors and nurses that work in the NICU spend more time sometimes at the hospital taking care of our little ones than they get to spend with their own families. And they do a really good job of coming in every day with a smile on their face, charged and ready to go, despite the things that are going on at home or what's going on in the hospital with the other babies. They're wonderful at taking time out to make time for the little things. They do a lot of special events and things at the hospital that are not necessarily required. They're not medically necessary. They're not things that help the baby grow or develop, but they help the families and support us along the way in our journeys. They have the Easter Bunny or Santa come out and visit, and they do special things like that throughout the year, just to brighten up our day and make it a little bit easier, because this is not maybe how we were expecting to bring home our babies, and we pictured taking our babies home and having our first Christmas and wrapping presents by the tree, and that's not always the way that things happen and the way that things turn out. And so it's really nice to know that when we do have to unexpectedly leave our children in somebody else's care, that we know that they're getting the absolute best care possible, and there's nobody else that's more qualified to take care of our little ones. That makes it a little bit easier to go home and sleep at night.
Absolutely. Well, very grateful that you all were able to come in and share your story, and we'll encourage, of course, the listeners at Lonestar are the best. So I know that they hear you and they'll do what they can, So thank you so much, ladies.